Hey guys, I'm going to talk to you about how to get the top grades whilst being assessed by teachers in this pandemic. The first thing that I think you need to cover is what exactly is being assessed. So right now, most of the schools should know what topic you guys are being assessed on directly. If you don't know, then you need to go away and ask your school ASAP. Some schools are still waiting on providing that information, but 99% of the schools, I would say, have already provided this. And you need to make sure that your school gives you as much clarity as possible. A, on what content will be tested, B, when it will be tested, and how much weighting will be provided for those tests. So how do we now take this information in 3 weeks? Perhaps for some of you guys have already had exams. How do we take this information and go from a grade 5, let's say, to a grade 8? All right, that's quite a tough and challenging ask. So what you need to do is the following. If your paper is based on certain topics, then you need to set yourself a selection of those questions only from the exam papers. So for example, what I do with some students is we sit down and we go through every single question on that topic from the year 2000 all the way up to the year 2020. So you go through every single question, let's say on homeostasis, and you smash it out. And by the time you've done like the first 5 to 10 questions on that kind of set of questions from the year 2000 all the way to 2020, yeah. You know, by the time you've done the first 10, you should have noticed that the questions and the style of questions repeats a lot. And the rest of the paper on that topic should be a breeze. And that's the important thing to realize. So this is an important way of studying. So there's 2 ways you can really study when it comes to getting the top grades. Either you can go away and do, different sets of papers. You can do 2003, 2005, 2007, and so on and so forth. Or you could select one topic and do every single question that exists on that topic. So these are the 2 approaches that I've seen during my time at Oxford and my time at college and so on and so forth. And I think those are the 2 effective approaches. There are other approaches out there, but I think these are the only 2 that really work. This technique of doing whole paper just based on that same topic is relevant more than ever, because very few schools are doing the full set of a subject. So you need to start thinking, how can I stack the odds in my favor? And the way you can do that is obviously focusing only on the topics that are going to get tested. How about reading the textbook? I would say that is a waste of time. Many studies have shown that rereading multiple times is one of the most inefficient ways of studying. So I repeat, no one, and I mean no one, should be studying through the textbook right now. Okay, every single student without fail should be doing a question paper. If you're not doing a question paper right now, then you're wasting your time. If you're watching this video, you're probably wasting your time. No, I'm just kidding. Watch this video till the end. Another thing to kind of be aware of is what exam questions are the school going to be using. So some schools, for example, are using 2019 paper. Some schools are using 2020. Some schools will be using the exam board provided questions. So again, this leads to a bit of an unfair playing field, but you've got to do you and you've got to focus on yourself. So if you know for a fact that your school is using 2019 paper, then just go on Google and just find these papers, right? They are available out there. You can get these papers and they do exist. So have a look at that, attempt it, learn how to answer these questions. And worst case scenario, even if these questions are not coming up, then you've got some good practice and ultimately it's adding to your knowledge base, which is the whole point of these examinations. If you're being tested using the exam board provided questions, then you need to make sure that when they release those questions, or if they've been released by the time this video goes out, make sure you've had a look at those, make sure you know how to go through it, because I can bet that any student who accesses those will be looking to memorize and cover that in a great amount of detail. So I am planning another video where I go through how to memorize a lot of information in a short amount of time. So that's like 5-6 pages in 45 minutes, 50 minutes for the first time after seeing it. How do you memorize so much content? So I am planning on doing that. Let me know if that's something that you guys are interested in, and I'll make it happen. Right, I'm going to be brutal here, guys. If you guys are using technology, then you are wasting your time. You're not being serious, and yeah, I've got nothing more to say on that. Get rid of technology. Put your phone away, put your Netflix away for 1.5 months, really. Yeah. Step it up, and then you can take a good, well-deserved rest in the summer. Put yourself under the pressure cooker environment and see what that makes you do. Okay, I've seen far too many students sitting in their pajamas at home doing papers, And then when it comes to the pressure cooker environment, they find themselves that they lose almost 20 to 30% marks. And that's not what you want to do. You want to practice in the highest level of pressure. The distance the arrow travels depends on how far it is pulled back. Would a sword be as strong if it wasn't put through the furnace? And when it comes to doing papers or topic questions from the exam paper, make sure you're not just doing them blindly. After you've done a paper or you've done a certain question, go away and look at the mistakes and correct your learning. Make sure you've memorized and understood that part of the syllabus and you never ever make a mistake on that part again. There is no point doing a paper after another without learning the mistakes. Speak to your teachers, speak to your head of department, find out as much as you can about the examination, right? They will try to help you as much as they can. Some of them will check over your work before it's being submitted. Others will give you extra lessons on topics that they know will be tested in your school mocks, in your school examinations. So don't turn down this opportunity. This shows A, that you are willing to do the work, and B, it gives you that insider track on these examinations. And the more you know, the better you are. If you're already doing relatively well with your GCSE grades, then I would go away and start working on some A-level style questions on the topics that are tested in GCSE. So for example, the equation of a circle, which is tested in GCSE in maths, is also tested at A-level. So you go away and practice some A-level style questions, and they will just tweak certain things and make it that much harder for you to attempt and get right. But once you can do that, that will give you more confidence in your GCSE exams to make sure you smash and get the grade 8s and grade 9s. With A-levels, it's a bit more difficult to do because the next level up is university, and different universities have different styles and different modules. Generally need an expert to guide you on this, more advanced type of questions. But they can be really helpful in certain exam boards, for example, in biology, where you need synoptic questions. And if that's something that's being tested, this is very, very useful for you. Another tip is to ramp up to your examinations. What I mean by a ramp is something that is raised and allows for leverage to happen at a real quick pace. So this is a concept that you would discuss, say, if you did electrical engineering, which allows for ramping up of the current, as opposed to a steady state effort. Okay, so what we want is a ramped effort every time an exam comes. So for example, you've got a maths exam tomorrow. What you would do is you would ramp all of your effort into that maths exam and no effort at all into any of the other exams. So you want to go and absolutely put your 110% into the exam that's coming up, rather than averaging out, okay, I'm going to do a bit for maths, but I'm going to also do a bit for chemistry, which is the day after. No. What you want to do is you want to put all of your short-term memory, 100% processing power into this effort. Obviously, it becomes a bit more tricky when you've got multiple exams on the same day, and this is where you need to do a bit of forward planning and think ahead how you can ramp up both of them simultaneously. All right, so that's going to be a bit tougher, but that's usually the case anyway, even in normal circumstances. Have self-belief. So most schools aren't being 100% clear on how things are working. So you need to make sure that you do your very best. And that means you ensure that you go for a grade 9 or you go for an A star. In August, it might turn out that, that A star was never possible for you. That grade 8, grade 9 was never possible for you because of how badly you did in, let's say, the December mocks, for example. But you don't know that. And the last thing you want to do is you want to regret. Yeah. So there are two types of pain: the pain of discipline and the pain of regret. Okay. The pain of discipline is a lot less painful. Trust me. I've made many mistakes in my life, and the pain of regret is something you want to avoid. You don't want to grow up and say, what if I tried in the summer of 2021? What if I tried, to get that A star? Because you never know. You can and you have the potential to get an A star. Until the fat lady sings, you still have that potential to get the top. So I've mentioned what I thought were the most important tips, but there are other tips, and if you feel some of them were more important, then feel free to drop them in the comments. But yeah, see you guys next time.